Here was I thinking we were going to talk about Marine Le Pen. I was all excited about that news.
Yeah, you just love an international election. You just love
I
it.
do. I do.
Welcome to the PredictIt podcast. I'm Jacob Studwell. This is Garth Yuckham. We haven't spoken in many days, and that's why it's perfect. We're just going to go all natural. We're going to speak what's on our mind, and we have to start with the good old US of A and the FIFA World Cup because things got political real quick.
Yes, yes, they did. Oh my. I mean, where do we want to start with that?
You
Because
know, it's
you and I were texting about it, and I was like really excited. I broke the news. I was like, holy crap. I mean, but little
and
did
at
we
first,
know.
by the way, we didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. All we heard
No.
was Balogun's eligible to play. And we all just and the night that he actually got the red card, I kept saying, "Oh, they're going to appeal this. They're going to appeal." I just knew there. It's just uh, I don't know. As an American, everything needs to bend to my will. So I just know.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because it's also it's like that, when you have that on your shirt and you it's broken and you just
Yeah.
like yeah, you can't leave it alone. And that was me. I was like sitting there going, this is cool, but wait a minute. And then Trump spoke. And then I kept pulling and pulling and pulling. And apparently everybody else in the world started pulling at the same time. And then it became a whole thing. And then we had a whole ball of yarn and no shirt anymore. And then we got to the game.
I think it's funny because FIFA's probably most satisfied with how things went down. They
Yeah.
got the U.S. market interested and into the entire situation. I mean, I love the announcers right at the end of the loss, basically saying, "Please don't wait 4 years to watch more soccer. Please tune in, to the next game."
Yeah.
Messi, Holland, everybody's still in it. Please watch more. Don't turn it off. It hit 30 million viewers, what the most watched soccer match in the U.S. ever. And FIFA again got what they wanted. They made things right, quote unquote.
Hmm.
But the U.S. loses on their own volition.
Oh my.
with
Oh my, did they
with
ever.
uh,
I,
and
you know,
we don't need to get into it too deeply, but my goodness, Garth, that was some of the worst soccer I'd watched them play basically since
ever.
2014 or like the old version of the U. That's what they looked like, at least in that first half. It was, ugh, I hated it.
Oh, they were terrible. I
They were
mean,
terrible.
there's nothing else you could say. I woke up in the morning. Well, I set my alarm first of all, and naturally didn't wake up. My wife actually was pushing me like, "What is that? What is that? Turn it off." So I turned it off and went back to sleep. And I woke up in the morning and didn't check my phone, and I started watching it. And I watched the first like 5 minutes. And I went, "Oh, well, I'm glad I didn't wake up for that."
Right. O is right. O is definitely right. So
Yeah.
we found out pretty quickly that it was the Donald who made a call to the FIFA president. I don't memorize the FIFA president's name from here on out. I just call all FIFA presidents Sepp Blatter because that's my FIFA president of choice. Uh,
Well, he set quite the precedent. I mean,
yeah, bow to the president. I mean, that's the precedent, right? You give him
naturally.
a peace prize, you take his
Yeah.
calls, you take away red
Yeah.
cards, and hopefully they lose on their own, which they did. So President Trump getting involved here, he doesn't necessarily get an L, but he definitely doesn't get a W because they didn't win. So
I mean,
very
I think he gets a huge L. I have to jump in. I think he gets a
okay,
huge L on
okay,
this one because he's been quiet the entire World Cup. It was all good vibes U.S. men's national team. Then Trump showed up, and all of a sudden, we have taken a team that was all good vibes and turned them into the most hated team on
yeah,
the planet.
yeah,
That's not a win. In no world is that a win because you made a phone call. A
yeah,
phone call. I mean,
yeah.
that to me is insane. Like, it was not worth it. And again, that again sums up the Donald Trump season two uh,
It,
to a T.
totally. It
To a
really
T.
does. It really does. And let's move into Iran really quickly because it almost feels not the same, but we're on the same path, right? It's like you had to get involved, and now rinse and repeat. Iran fires
Mm-hmm.
on us. We fire on Iran. And he basically
Back and
said
forth.
the MOU is over. I mean,
Yep.
we knew the MOU was never really in place, but the ceasefire is over. We've now declared it.
Yep.
We're full into war mode now. We're back into it, and I think again, the everyday American won't care that we're in the midst of a war, or they will
No.
never know that we were out of it or in it, whatever. But inflation is going to start to hit at the perfect time or the imperfect time, depending on
Well,
who you ask.
gas prices are already up. They jumped 5 or 6% yesterday.
Right.
So here we go again. It is like, yeah, again, here we go. And where's our, summer present? I wanted a summer present.
Yeah,
Cheaper gas.
no, I'm with you. And honestly, I'd buy Democrat right now, still holding at 78 cents, or you can get it you can mostly get it at 80 cents. I'll say 80 cents.
Yeah.
And that's a buy, just straight up. I mean, what if we look at how the House is being competed on, and the lines and the close races, inflation, gas prices, that's what it's going to be won on. And if Iran is going to rage on, and there's clearly no agreement that is going to be able to be made, I thought he could probably make something that was close enough to the original
Right.
Iran nuclear deal. But if
Right.
that's not possible, and the new regime is not accepting of it, then it's Democrats in the House all the way. You got a 20-cent runway here with this market. I'd load up right now. It's July 8th. We have a few more primaries to go in August, but hey, this thing's gonna heat up, and the House is gonna get one up in a blue wave. I don't know about the Senate. The Senate's gonna be one-off races, but can you make a case for a 20-cent buy in the Republican side, or a 24-cent
I
buy
mean,
you can get them at?
I think it's interesting when we take it back to also the story of the week, which is, the Graham Platner Maine implosion,
Hmm.
um, and the fight that is now breaking out between the progressive wing and the establishment wing.
Yep.
That is like, who will replace him? And well, he has to be this type of person, or he has to be that type of person. And then you look at the Senate debate in Michigan last night, which was progressive versus, establishment, and
Yep.
Israel's involved in that too. And you take it all back, and you sit there, and you had Colorado, and you had New York, and maybe this is me putting a Republican hat on, sitting there going, well, maybe there is still some wiggle room. Just the other
Hmm.
podcast we did last week, we were talking about what Michigan was El Said all the way.
Hmm.
Well, McMorrow finally dropped out,
Yep.
and it looks a little bit more like a race, doesn't it?
It's certainly a race, and we said that. And clearly, McMorrow, I think, might sit on the sidelines here. It seems
Yeah.
like it probably would have been a dropout and more of an immediate endorsement, but she doesn't like Stevens because that was her
No.
main battle.
No.
And she doesn't really endorse El Sayed's politics and policies. So it's tough to really pick a side, but you put up that 10% or that 8% that she was winning up as
Yep.
a jump ball in the air. And now if Stevens captured a majority of it, we're within
Right.
4 points. We're within the margin of error of most polls. There was a new poll released today by Tavern Research, 2,200 likely voters. The survey dates were July 6th and 7th. So it's
Okay.
basically right after McMorrow pulled out. And they did do two versions of it, one with McMorrow in it and one with McMorrow out of it. With McMorrow in it, she garnered 5%. So again, lower again, but I think a lot of the poll or the
Yep.
survey takers knew that. El Said up 3 points in that scenario, 41% to Stevens 38%. And then in just the head to head, Stevens versus El Said, Stevens is up a point, which is huge, huge, huge. So
Mm-hmm.
this Michigan primary is starting to heat up at the exact perfect time for Stevens. We have a true battle here. I'm curious to see what the polls say post debate. It was a pretty
Right.
fiery debate
Yep.
and very, very clear where everyone stands here. It's not a it's not one of those debates
Yep.
where you're like, what is the difference between them? It's very, very obvious. And I would have expected Stevens to kind of fall a little flatter than El Said, who's a much better presence. But I think Stevens had some good slings in there, some good
Yeah.
moments. And this is going to come down to it. This is going to be a tight battle. We see AOC and Bernie just all around Michigan, and they're going to be around Michigan
Mm-hmm.
for essentially another 30 days.
Yep.
Where the money's going to go, and I wonder if the Republicans are going to try to astroturf El Said a little bit because they think he's an easier beat. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
but
mean, he's
Michigan,
definitely
man, heat it
definitely
up.
an easier beat than Stevens, and you know that $10 million that APAC is spent so far. I mean, they're just probably going to
Hmm.
dump even more money if the polling numbers are going to tighten that much, and especially with McMorrow out. You know, there's a central tack line right there that they
Hmm.
can just keep hitting on. And I mean, I think also that report about El Said's, medical debt cancellation program,
Hmm.
supposedly, he's promoting it as a $700 million that they've taken off the debt, and instead it's really 60 million. That's a huge difference, and then that's something that locally could really, really hit and resonate with voters in Wayne County
Yeah.
and surrounding areas. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I think you're right that we kind of felt that El Said was really well positioned here to succeed, but Stevens and the APAC money is really, really helping. I mean, it's worth watching over the coming weeks and how the polling is after the debate. So,
Yeah, completely agree. So traders right now are trading El Said at 83 cents. So huge drop. I mean, he was in the 90s. So
yep,
just it's more of an important 10-cent drop than anything else.
yep,
If you understand probabilities, it's just a huge difference between winning 92% of the time and winning close to 80% of the time.
yep,
Stevens is up to 20 cents, obviously, with Morrow down to one, and she's out of it. But I would be interested to see Stevens creeping up a bit more here. I think we're probably going to land closer to 33 cents for Haley Stevens. So interesting buy. I think you can get Stevens right now at 24 cents. I would see again. I would want to see that track up a little bit to 33 cents before I'm interested in El Said.
yep.
But hey, we've got a race. We've got a race. August
We
4th.
definitely have a race.
Uh, don't forget it. All right, all right. So you mentioned Platner. We have to get to him. So as much as I want to talk about Mitch McConnell, which hopefully we'll get to after this, let's do Platner, please. So Platner right now trading at 90 cents to drop out before July 14th, which is that key date there, the last date before you can drop out, July 13th. So Platner released, there was another report of sexual assault by a former girlfriend, clearly corroborated, a very clear story. It wasn't by
Yep,
a political operative. It wasn't somebody who's Republican. It was just cut and clear. And every single person who's endorsed him has now said he should drop out. And the Democrats get a redo here. I mean, as much as it's terrible that their chosen candidate is now he's basically probably out of politics, they get a redo, and the choice on the progressive side, which would be a great replacement for Platner, Troy Jackson. If you look at the polling, the polling that they've July 4th to the 6th, we got a few different matchups in the general. Collins
yep,
Platner. Collins was up 4 points, and this is just of 405 likely voters, so it's very,
Yeah.
very small sample size. But it is just interesting to see the different options. So Collins was up 4 points on Platner. So clearly Platner should have dropped out or should drop out. Again, going for 90 cents. I think it's an interesting buy. Then we have Troy Jackson, again, the progressive fill in here, up 5 points against Collins in this poll. And then if you put in Janet Mills, she's even against Collins at 47-47. Seems like the Democratic Party of Maine has learned from the Kamala Harris mistake, and they're interested in having a real primary. What say you?
I mean, I was going to bring that up too. I mean, different circumstances, different environment, 2 years on, but it's interesting how traders instantly jumped all over this idea of a redo for the Democrats and finally having a clean slate and a candidate. Now, who they choose, that's going to be really interesting. And this
Yeah,
goes back to the Michigan thing, goes back to the Colorado thing, goes back to the New York primaries,
it's
and
everything.
this fight in the Democratic Party that might give Republicans some serious wiggle room, Trump aside, and this internal fighting that they like to do, and but put Maine back on the map, and Maine has to be on the map if they want control. I mean, I
Mhm.
think that's guaranteed. Even if Al Said wins, then you have again that same problem. That makes Michigan slightly more likely to go Republican, even in the environment. Um, just based on primary politics versus general politics, they're just different. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, how this plays out in the next couple of weeks. And I find it also interesting that he didn't just dive on his sword, and that's probably shows his newness as a candidate, as a political newbie,
Right.
of not just walking away. And he's sitting there, and his camp is saying, "Well, we're going to have a hand in it. We're going to have a hand in choosing this person." And you're like, "No, you're not.
You have no
Go
leverage.
take
None.
take your ball and your bat and go home." I mean, it is the writing is on the wall. Bow out. Go back to doing what you did before,
Right.
and
That's it.
just say, "Well, I tried." I don't understand this at all. But then again, I'm not. I don't live in Maine, so I,
No, but it's the sign of a new politician, right?
yeah,
It's I mean, we could always say that about Trump as well in a lot of cases, but Trump had leverage at all times because voters were permanently attached to him. Whereas
yes,
Platner doesn't have that kind
no,
of
no,
compelling
no,
fan base, right? So it's
yeah,
we'd love to compare it to Platner to Trump, but at the end of the day, it's not the
not
same
the
thing.
same.
It's
It's
not the
not the
same.
same.
So we've got the Democrats right now trading at 54 cents. They did get a huge bump on July 6th, opened at 58 cents, back down a little bit, but traders are much more bullish about their chances here. Really, really great fundraising on the Republican side. First half in Maine of the year, got in $8 million. So the Republicans are going to have so much money to blanket the ground and
Yep,
just trash the whatever candidate they choose right off the gate. And I don't know, Republicans at 48 cents. I like that buy. I like Collins. She's going to be way more known than whoever else runs here. I know Troy
exactly.
Jackson has run for governor and lost that primary on the Democratic side already. So some name recognition, but you're going to know Susan Collins. You're probably not going to know the other guy. So I like Collins here at 48 cents, right?
You have to. I mean, I have to. I mean, obviously it's at 48 cents for a reason. But if you think about the brand building side of this equation of
Yeah.
having to start a candidacy, I mean, even somebody like Kamala Harris, who was the vice president, who was next to the Oval Office, who was
Right.
visible, you're going to have to be inserted into a campaign in which you did not win the nomination, in which
Hmm.
it's been handed to you, and you're going up against a 5-term incumbent who
Right.
delivers, and wins in the tight spots. And even if you are the Secretary of State or you're some well-known relative name and you've campaigned
Hmm.
statewide in Maine, you still have to. You haven't had that time with the voters. You haven't had that time with your messaging, and you're going to need lots of money, and you're going to
Yeah.
need to be boots on the ground in Maine, visiting and shaking hands. I mean, it's the runway feels too short for a Democrat to pick it up, even if it is July.
Yeah. And I think the Democratic establishment or the Democratic powers that be that have all the money are kind of sick of this state right now. Maybe it's like a
Sure.
last minute push where they realize, okay, they're going to have to see the candidate float, right? It's like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yes.
crazy people like throw their kids in the
The
pool and
deep
see
end.
if they
The
float.
deep end.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
right, when they're like 1 year old or 6 months old or whatever. Some weird. I've never seen it done in real life, but I've seen videos, and that's kind of what the Democrats are going to have to do with Troy Jackson
100%.
or even Janet Mills, even somebody
Yeah.
who is the sitting governor. They're still going to kind of see, okay, how does it stick with the voters? And by the way, if you look at Troy Jackson's materials, you look at websites or videos, previous campaign videos, he is a perfect replacement for Graham Platner. If they were seeing traction with Graham Platner, they're going to love the logger from Maine, who's also super
Yeah.
progressive, but also like links up. I know Dan Osborne had the independent from Nebraska had
Yep.
endorsed Troy Jackson previously in the Democratic primary there for the governorship. So it's a great replacement. I do think Troy is probably perfect for this, but you're still going to not get access to the money that you need to win unless you
Yeah.
start to float, and you start to float fast. You really have to prove it quickly. So we're
I
gonna be
mean,
all over that race.
especially if you're not an establishment pick, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you have to convince, and
yeah,
so that's the sink or swim mentality you mentioned. You need access to the apparatus. If you don't have it,
right.
you're toast.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you look at other races, they're just so much more interesting to throw money at. If you
Yep.
look at the Texas race is starting to heat up. Ken Paxton getting attacked from all sides. He's now getting accused of voter fraud. He was in London for July 4th. Really weird decisions here for Ken Paxton. Just, I mean, I get the voter fraud, whatever. Let's put that aside. But
Right.
you're in another country for the 250th anniversary of the country you live in and are running for Senate in Texas, no less. And can you imagine a more patriotic state to leave? Very
Uh,
Ted Cruz esque, huh?
and for all locations, the UK,
I,
which we all know. I mean, that
I
symmetry is that's
He's a
beautiful.
loyalist. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And then if you look, I mean, Sherrod
Probably drinks
Brown's
tea
gonna.
too.
Oh, that would be perfect. Oh my God, the Tallarico team would just be beside themselves if they got him drinking tea. That'd be so
Oh,
perfect. The campaign ads of Tallarico throwing tea bags into the
exactly.
Gulf of America or Mexico, whatever it is. I don't know where Texas is or what body of water they're near. Um, so where are we at now? Oh yes, okay. Sherrod Brown, I was gonna say, probably gonna be easier to throw money at that Ohio race. Gonna be easier to
Yes.
throw money at Josh Chark. There's so many other races that are more attractive to throw money at. So this
Hmm.
main race, we'll keep an eye, but again, that 48 cents for the Republican for the uh the clear incumbent that has won this race over and over and over again. They're going to be facing somebody who Maine doesn't even necessarily know all that well.
Right.
You got to
And,
be on Collins.
and Susan Collins is like, she doesn't even like Trump, so she is Republican,
Eh,
but she might even vote for you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. You might get it both
they're worse
ways. It might be
people.
perfect. She might hold Trump to account, or at least she can
Yeah.
sell it a little bit. I mean, now that the
Yeah.
Senate has passed a war powers resolution and she was on the right side of things, there is a sell here. I'm curious if Iran heats up, if her seat kind of heats up a little bit. But I think
Right.
she's willing to make the harder votes to sell her reelection. So yeah,
And
I,
her
I
independence. Yeah.
love that Republican contract in that main race for sure. All right, let's quickly move to Mitch McConnell. I again, we don't like to do the speculation. It's more about the facts here and looking ahead a little bit. But something's up with Mitch McConnell. Is it actually reported that he had a heart attack, or is that just conjecture? You're the facts
He,
guy,
he's old. I mean,
right?
my reporter friends were texting about wondering where he was, if they could, if somebody could
Wondering
find
where
him.
he was. I know where he is. He's in a
Well,
hospital bed.
what's his state? What's his state of
Right,
being, right? So
right, right.
so I think we're all kind of wondering where he is, and if we will see him again. But I mean, this is kind of the thing, right? You're that old. Every day is an opportunity to, I don't know, disappear. In this case, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's
I mean, look again. If you just look at the actuarial tables and the odds here, I was seeing numbers floated around. Like, if you have a heart attack at, I think he's 85. If you had a heart attack at 85, 30 days later, you're 95% chance to be deceased. It's tough to talk about these things, but it is going to influence the control of the Senate. And what I'm getting at is I'm curious if Andy Bashir, the very popular governor of that state, is willing to run for Senate here. And that really opens the map a lot for the Democrats. If Bashir could possibly win this really important Senate seat of the majority leader or former majority leader for the Republicans, really opens the map a lot. They have to win one less race potentially if Andy Bashir can kind of run away with this seat. I don't know. Is that worth it for them to switch from governor to senator? And I think it is, right? Come in and be the hero, Andy Bashir.
I mean, in a hypothetical question, yeah, sure. I don't. Why not? I mean, the question is, does Andy Bashir want to do that? I think
Right.
that's a bigger question than if we're playing hypothetical here. Um,
Yeah. Such a different
being a
role, right? I mean,
well, yeah, but it's think about 2028. Don't think about 2026. I mean, that's
mhm.
really the Andy Bashir equation that has to be answered is he running in 2028, and does he want to do it as a senator in a Congress in which gets nothing done, or
True.
do you want to be a governor of your state where you're turning it more blue and you're having these successes, if you will, and being able to bridge that divide and then use that as your jumping off point for a 2028 run.
Here's the thing: everything's so nationalized that if you step into a national role like the Democratic hero that wins the Senate for the blue team and
Sure.
everyone praises, thank God Andy Bashir was willing to run for Senate. You get so much more play and so much more runway than if you just kind of sit out and stay as the governor of a state that
Sure.
you might not even win in a presidential election anyway.
Yeah.
I think you
I,
have to take some risks here if you're Andy Bashir, just because you're not AOC, you're not Gavin Newsom, and you're not Kamala Harris. If you're not those three, you have to break away from the pack somehow. And
right.
how do you not want to be the MVP for a
Well,
team
I
that
mean,
could win, right?
I get that. I mean, MVP story, okay, fine, makes sense. But then you're in Trump world and you are in that vortex. You lose that element of control. You
Hmm.
might be the successful person who helped your team wrest control and maybe impeach Trump. Who knows, right? I mean, let's
Right,
get
right.
that
Could be.
hypothetical.
Or
Um,
remove, right, remove him
or
from
remove
office.
him,
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
officially remove him. Um, maybe, but do you want to take that risk and put your fate in some ways in the hands of Donald Trump?
I think this is really a timing question because the primary is going to start immediately after the midterms end. We keep saying
Yeah,
who's going to
yeah,
announce the day
100%.
after the midterms
Yeah,
end, right?
one hundred percent.
That's the question. So you can build on momentum. I don't know. It'd be weird to win a Senate seat and then immediately
I
declare for the
know.
2028 uh, primary,
I don't
but
think that would be a good look.
it's not a good look. You're right. It's not a good look. And you definitely could announce right after the midterms if you sit out. So
Mhm.
the timing's awkward, but man, if you could just claim, Democrats win 51 seats and you're the one to push it over the finish line and you win that Senate seat easily, especially if you can use your own money and keep it out of and keep it insulated from the
Yeah.
smaller pile of money that the Democrats have compared to the Republicans, or maybe
Yeah.
draw a lot more Republican money against you in that Senate race. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. So we'll talk a little bit more about this once things become clearer. If Mitch McConnell is pronounced dead before August 3rd, there's actually a really fast election a special election that happens before the midterms, which I think is kind of nuts, but I guess those are the laws of the state. And then if he is found dead after, then there's just a midterm election. And I assume the Democrats probably want it front loaded, ideally, because they could even get in a senator before Congress flips over, and it's everything's totally different, obviously. So
Hmm.
we'll look out for that. But our hearts go out to Mitch McConnell's family, and clearly struggling here, but it's at the center of a political football. So what are you going to do? This is
Well,
America, right?
exactly. I mean, it's a hypothetical I didn't think I was going to talk about today, but here we are. I mean,
I
it's
drag you into everything. I drag you into whatever it is because we gotta we gotta talk through it. All right, and Democrats right now are trading at 42 cents. Republicans are trading at 60, basically 62 cents. I like the Democrats at 42 cents in the Senate. I think it's probably closer to a coin flip at this point. Their main chances are on the up and up. And again, I think Texas, of all places, seems to be closer than Iowa and Ohio, which if you told me
yeah,
3 months ago, that would have been pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't know. You buying at Democrats 42 cents?
not yet. No, no, there's too
Mhm.
much chaos in Michigan and Maine to
Yeah,
buy. Yeah, I think
that's
that
fair.
that needs to clear up before I jump on any bandwagons. I
Yeah,
think that has to just really play out. So
absolutely.
after August 4th.
All right, that'll do it for the PredictIt podcast. Thanks for listening along. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeart Podcasts, radio, whatever it's called. We're on youtube.com/at PredictItOfficial, x.com/at PredictItPod. See y'all next week. Hopefully not much happens in the next week, even though, we're in the quiet zone, but
We're in the quiet
Iran's
zone.
popping off. Mitch McConnell's in the hospital. There's lots of things going on, even though we're in the quiet zone.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Peace.